Hello, everyone, and welcome to the HP Podcast, episode number 372. I'm Ben, and with me here today, as always, are the most beautiful boys in the neighborhood, Dave and Brandon. What's that song I was just thinking of? New guy in the neighborhood. I don't know.
Sounds AI generated.
Well, it's from the 90s, so unlikely. Anyway, that's just what came into my head. Brandon, hello. Your hair is looking exceptionally floppy today, and that's like a good thing. That's not a bad thing.
It's very floofy. It gets extra floofy when I wash it, and I just washed it a couple hours ago.
I don't know if floofy goes far enough. I think floppy really encapsulates what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There's volume there.
Yeah, it's a bit too thick. I kind of wish my hair was thinner at points because it becomes way more difficult to manage, and it doesn't really do what I want to do with it because there's just too much of it. Right?
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. I get it.
Yeah, so maybe I'll get some layers or something cut into it, but that would involve a lot of the length going, so maybe I'll do that once I've grown it out some more. But my end goal is to get it around shoulder length.
Yeah, it's a lot easier to make a mullet if you have your hair around shoulder length.
True.
Yeah.
I'll never do that, but
well,
the last time I had a mullet was I think 99.
Yeah, that adds up. My buddy's nephew, I think he's like 14 maybe. He has a mullet right now. I saw him my buddy turned 40. We had a surprise birthday party for him. And his nephew was there. His nephew's a great kid, really, really nice kid, but he has a crazy mullet. And I was like talking to him about, dude, you have a mullet. First of all, you pull it off well, and second of all, it's a mullet. He's like, it's not a mullet. I said, well, what is it? He goes, oh, it's called a modern. And I said, well, that's a mullet. He goes, no, they call it something different now. I said, but it's still a mullet.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. And I'm like, who calls it something different now? He's like, well, everybody, the barber and stuff. And I was like, if you walked in and said, I want a modern, and you walked in and said, I want a mullet, you would get the same haircut.
Right. If it looks and quacks like a duck,
yeah,
it's probably a duck.
But like the idea that you would try to destigmatize the mullet by calling it something different, nobody had a problem with the name mullet to begin with. They had a problem with the hairstyle.
Yeah. Yeah, the name isn't the problem.
Right.
If you don't like the hairstyle, then don't get it.
It's like, I'm just throwing this out here in the first 3 minutes of our show, but like if Hitler was named like Bob, nobody would have liked him more.
I don't know. Bobby sounds better than Hitler. Bobby!
Maybe that's what he could have been if he would have pursued art. Maybe he would have been Bobby instead.
Bobby hits.
Bobby hits.
I heard a comedian talking about how this is not this is comedy here, okay, people, this is not serious. How the Holocaust was actually Hitler's an art project, not some crazy machinations of a madman. I'll have to find it and send it to you guys, but it was pretty funny.
Is that the sweet nectar?
I'm flexing on y'all right now.
And he got it from an approved supplier.
What do you know about this? I'm flexing the Baja Blast.
The only approved supplier, really.
Out of the Taco Bell fountain. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your Hitler story, but
no, it's okay.
I just had to have.
I wasn't telling it very well. It was really funny when I listened to it. But Dave, how are you? First of all, your shirt is kind of the color of Baja Blast, and second of all, you made a comment a few weeks ago about how you couldn't get Baja Blast or something. You couldn't go to Taco Bell. Do you not have Taco Bells, and do they not have Baja Blast in them?
So yes to both. I haven't had it.
Yes, you don't, or yes, you do.
Yes, we have Taco Bells, and I'm pretty sure they have Baja Blast. And I've seen Baja Blast in stores, and I've gone to buy it, but I'm like, Ben's gonna like pop out from the popcorn aisle and kill me if I do this.
They send me a list every month of who all purchased it in the store.
A disturbance in the force.
List.
You have to pay in cash if you don't want me to find out about it.
Wherever he is in the world.
But like you seemed very curious at the time, and you were like, "How can I get it then?" Like just drive through Taco Bell. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, but we just don't have that many. There is one pretty close to my work, and I just haven't been yet. So it's not as easy for me to just go to a Taco Bell because there just aren't that many. But I will. I'll try some soon. So, yeah.
Fair enough. How are you, Dave?
I'm good. Got a bit of a cold, so apologize if I sound a little bit more nasally. Getting kind of sick of seeing Coachella everywhere, and I'm not sure if it's because the entire world is talking about it or if I just watched one video for a second too long.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy how much people are paying to watch Justin Bieber sit at a laptop and watch videos.
But also, I kind of respect that from him.
On the other side of the coin, it's also crazy. Like, I always thought festivals were like just a band on a big stage with maybe a cool light show, but now they're like Sabrina Carpenter had a full-on choreographed dance crew and a set. It looks like a Grammys performance or something. Like, I mean, I guess people are getting their money's worth, but man, it certainly has blown up into something big, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I haven't really seen a lot of Coachella stuff. I did see some, but what I've seen the most about is, what's her name? Which one's dating Timothée Chalamet?
Oh,
Kylie?
Jenner?
One of the Kardashians.
Yeah, Kylie Jenner. I just looked it up. Dude, I've been seeing
Jenners
stuff.
Are the associates of the Kardashians, I think. They're not.
They're all sisters or something, aren't they?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how any of that family works.
The biggest problem about that is the Chicago Bears quarterback, my favorite team, was spotted with the Jenners, which is a really, really fucking bad sign if you're a fan of the team that guy plays for. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've, to my knowledge, never clicked on anything to do with anyone associated with the Kardashians at all. But whoever that Chalamet side piece is just all over my feeds right now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We're all seeing different stuff, you know?
Well, it's funny because my buddy Locke, I like to pick on him, but he'll oftentimes talk about like, oh, this is all over my feeds. And I'm like, because you're engaging with it. He's like, no, I'm not. I'm like, well, if you weren't like hovering over it a little longer or clicking on it or something, and it's not anything bad. It's just like, oh, I'm seeing people talk about this all the time. I'm like, I haven't seen that. He's like, where are you? What are you doing? I'm like, I'm just not on the same algorithm you're on. But I noticed that sometimes when I click on something on Twitter, that's all I see for months. And then other times I like want to find something. I like click on something in hopes that it'll surface it. Can't find it anywhere. Never shows up.
It's crazy to think that like the algorithm in theory is such an advanced and clever thing, but it's not there yet, right? It's too sensitive. It doesn't know what we're thinking yet. It will soon, but yeah, one Coachella video for 2.5 seconds, and that's all I'm seeing for, you know, I've expressed no interest in festivals otherwise, but this is what I'm seeing constantly now. So,
yeah. Have you ever been to a big music festival like that?
No. I went to Ozfest one year when I was much younger, so I guess that counts.
Yeah. The closest I've been to is Warped Tour like a very long time ago. Right before they got rid of it, and now I guess it's back in some capacity or something.
Like a very small capacity. Like they're doing a couple concerts around the country named Warped Tour.
So that was like 2011 or something.
Has it really been gone that long?
Something like that. Yeah, yeah. It was either that or like 2010. It was around that time.
Yeah.
It was closer towards when they stopped doing them, I think.
I went to like 6 or 8 different years of Warped Tour. Most of them in Pittsburgh, some of them in Cleveland. But the thing about the Pittsburgh Warped Tour is that like they had it at the Starlake Pavilion, whatever it's called now, and like I don't know, 80% of the stages were just in the middle of a field not in the middle of a field, on concrete, like the parking lots in the field,
right?
And in like 90-degree heat, the sun beating down on that blacktop.
You're just baking.
It was brutal.
Yeah, just
brutal.
Baking.
I've been to a few different ones. I typically have never gone to any of them for like overnights. There were some when I was in like junior high school. I went to some like one called Creation and one called Cornerstone and one called Purple Door, all like Christian metal, you know, pop, whatever, big festivals. And I'm sure they weren't nearly as wild as any of those other ones, but we had some good times like actually camping out and stuff at those festivals. It is a cool concept. Like you wake up, you go see music, you spend all day seeing music. You see music, and then you go to bed, and then when you wake up, you go see music again, and no showers to be had.
Do you think that Handsome Phantom could get a press pass for the Gathering of the Juggalos this year? We all could go.
I think they're giving away tickets. I'm not sure if it costs anything anymore. So
I still want that press badge though.
Yeah.
I think they kill the press there, though. I think that's like part of their philosophy.
Okay.
Sorry, what is Gathering of the Juggalos?
Oh, really?
Oh boy. Oh boy. Do you know Insane Clown Posse?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, those are the Juggalos.
Okay, yeah.
So it's the Gathering of the Juggalos. I think the last time I watched one of those like man on the street interviews, and the most standout portion of that interview was when this lady, if I'm remembering it correctly, she was in like a wheelchair or something, and she was carrying around a dildo, but it was a dildo made of her husband's ashes. And another big thing in this community is the poop dollar boys. So whenever we go to the Gathering of the Juggalos, if you see a dollar on the ground or any money whatsoever, do not pick it up because it's likely a poop dollar. I'm just forewarning you ahead of time. This is a part of the culture. Whippets are also a very big thing.
So a couple of years ago, I went to a Sea of Thieves festival. They had one in Ohio, actually. There's one in England and one in Ohio for some reason. I think that's where the people who were organizing it were.
Pretty similar, yeah.
Yeah, and so I went, and there was this dude there who played Sea of Thieves, and he came alone. He didn't have any buddies with him, and so he kind of hung out with me and my buddies. Really nice guy, but super mild mannered, like not eccentric, in your face. Just looks like a regular white dude from Michigan, like nothing crazy. And I was like, just trying to make conversation, trying to get to know the guy. And I'm like, oh, so, you've come to this. Do you go into any other like things this summer? Anything else you're looking forward to? Just, casually making conversation. He's like, oh, yeah, I've got a concert thing in a couple weeks. I was like, oh, what's that? He's like, it's called the Gathering of the Juggalos. And I was like, really? I was like, why? And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, what? Do you like Insane Clown Posse? Are you a Juggalo? And he's like, yeah. I was like, really? You? Like, I just couldn't get over the fact that this like generic white guy, I'm a generic white guy, he was also a generic white guy, was a Juggalo. And I'm like, tell me about it. And he's like, yeah, I went last year. It was a lot of fun, but this year I'm going. The only real rule I have while I'm there is I just no butt stuff. And I was like, can you elaborate on that? What does that mean? He's like, well, like, chugging Faygo in your butt is like a thing at these. And I was like, I don't know if you're telling me the truth or not, but I would believe it because it's the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of documentation online of the stuff that happens at these places, and all in good fun mostly. But what consenting adults do in open fields with other consenting adults that haven't showered in a week is up to them. Yeah, it would be interesting, and I think we should really look into going this year, boys. Everybody sound off in the Discord, handsomephantom.com/Discord, whether Handsome Phantom should make an appearance at this year's Gathering of the Juggalos. We may be able to sponsor a booth or like a poop dollar. With your Patreon contribution, we might be able to make our own poop dollar. And we could buy at least one case of Faygo, which is the drink of choice of the Juggalos and Juggalettes. We can't forget about the Juggalettes, boys.
I thought it was like one of those things, like it applies to everyone, kind of like how you can say dude, kind of gender neutral. Dude, you're just a dude. I thought Juggalos was like gender neutral.
I think it is, but I personally, this is anecdotal experience, I worked with a Juggalo.
Okay.
And on the back of his car, it said Juggalette Mobile or something like that because it was his wife's car. But yeah, he had one of the most interesting men I've ever met. But he embodied everything it means to be a Juggalo. Whoop whoop, as they say.
Yeah. I looked at the lineup. I'm looking at it again now. Sorry. Waffles actually says there are Juggalettes. They're actually called Juggalettes, or there are female Juggalos?
Yes, there are actually a lot of female.
Oh, I knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
Juggalettes. But that is a thing.
So I looked at the lineup one time of like all the different acts that we're going to be playing, and it was insane. And some of the first of all, some of the acts I was like, I've never heard of them, and well, like insanely good. I mean, I didn't know about a lot of them for sure, but I looked at a few of them. And I was like, oh, I recognize this band, or like this is a mainstream group or whatever. I was a little surprised by that, but yeah, the Juggalos, I guess they play like 4 or 5 times throughout the 3-day festival, which is shout out to Insane Clown Posse. I don't like your music. I've never really listened to it, to be fair, but you guys know what's up when it comes to getting your fans together.
They fuck heavy
and doing weird stuff
in many ways.
Yeah. Do you think it's a cult? Are Juggalos part of a cult?
It's as much of a cult as like the Grateful Dead is. You know what I mean?
I know it's a posse.
That's true.
I did some research. Well, I hate that I asked this question. We've gone down this rabbit hole.
No, we're here now.
I thought it was well articulated when it said they embrace being outsiders. So
yeah.
Does that make them a cult? It just seems to be approaching it, but
well, no, it's more like a counterculture,
right,
than a cult, I think. And I would liken it to not vibe wise, but like the Deadheads, right? Like I feel like that's another fandom that is like very large into the community aspect of the music, and like wears all the merch all the time, has the tattoo, like it is ingrained in their fabric. I feel like, Deadheads and Juggalos share that sort of feeling for the music that they enjoy.
Yeah.
The community. I think it is about the community.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah. I mean, that's an important thing for anybody. But
I always wonder what at these like weird events they always have security there, and the security just kind of, the third party company, or they work for the venue. I always wonder what their security briefings are like before these really weird events. Imagine like a furry event, and like you've got like a supervisor there and a bunch of security guards who aren't making enough money, and it's like, okay, so we got a bit of a weird one today. So I just want to prepare you for what you're about to see.
Well, I know a guy who was like a part-time security guard who worked the Pittsburgh furry convention, whatever it's called. Yeah, he said everybody was chill, but it was very strange. I mean, he's also he's probably in his 60s. He used to be a cop, and now he's a security guard, and he was like, yeah, it's he goes, I don't want to do it again, but I don't regret that I did it. How old are these guys, by the way? I just have to know how old the Insane Clown Posse people are.
I saw something from 1994. I didn't
They're
realize
getting up
they were
there.
that old.
They're getting
active
up there.
from 1989 to present.
Jesus.
Violent J was born in 1972, so not that old. Pretty old to be a Juggalo.
Music age. Now, I guess that's not necessarily true because you have bands that are still performing that probably shouldn't be. But like normal band age, they're getting up there towards the end of the scale.
Okay, here's the big question, the real question everybody wants to know about the Gathering of the Juggalos. Why did they call it the Gathering of the Juggalos instead of the Dark Carnival? Isn't that like ICP's whole thing? The Dark Carnival?
It says here the term Juggalo was famously used by Violent J of ICP during a 1994 concert. So that's just it's a literal name, the Gathering of the Juggalos.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know that ICP was huge when I was in like 6th grade. I remember a lot of my buddies being into them, and I never could understand it. All the hatchet guys and everything running around. But so Juggalos, whatever. But like if your name of your genre or your storyline that runs through your genre or whatever is the Dark Carnival, wouldn't a festival dedicated to like you? I don't know. It just seems like an easy win to me.
Well, no. Here's the problem, Ben. The Dark Carnival, as we all should know by now, is described as purgatory-like afterlife where souls are judged. Mm-hmm. And the vibes just simply aren't that at the Gathering of the Juggalos. It's more of a free-spirited thing than a purgatory-esque environment, depending on,
Yeah, you do make a really compelling point there, Brandon. I do recant my statement now.
Can I just go buy Faygo soda or?
Yeah, it's in gas stations.
Have you ever had Faygo?
It's just like a soda that became synonymous in this subculture. Okay. It is completely does not have anything technically It was not made for the Juggalos. Although some may argue with me on that, it kind of feels like maybe in a divine way it was made for the Juggalos.
I just Googled. I Googled these words. Why Fago ICP? The AI overview on Google says ICP uses Fago, a budget-friendly Detroit-based soda, to represent their working-class roots and foster a unique, participatory family atmosphere during live shows. Originally, it was an accident where they threw bottles at hecklers. The tradition now features iconic Fago showers, where they spray bottles at fans. There you go. Dave, we're going to see you in about a month. I'm going to make sure you have some Fago. I'm going to bring you some.
It doesn't look very good.
It's not that great.
It is probably one of the worst sodas. Like,
but it is only like $1 a liter.
It is so
You're
cheap.
not selling me.
It is so cheap and it is so sweet. And as long as you know those two things, it's actually fine.
Okay.
But like,
back to where this started. Yeah, back to where this started, Dave. Do you like sweet drinks, sodas?
No.
You probably won't like Baja Blast if I'm being real with you.
Yeah, I assume I won't, but I just.
But you do need to try it.
Yeah.
This is the HP podcast. Welcome on in. We talk about video games sometimes and mostly ICP and Fago. We appreciate you being here. If you want to hang out with us more, you can go over to patreon.com/handsomephantom. Sign up to hang out with us for $1 a month or more if you prefer. But $1 a month gets you ad-free early access to the audio version of the show. We're live every Tuesday, Wednesday night. I can't get it right. We're live sometime throughout the week on YouTube. You can come here if you want. You can also hang out with us on Discord at handsomephantom.com/Discord, as Brandon so eloquently asked earlier. What if the Juggalos discover this episode and they invade our Discord?
Honestly,
do you think they'll embrace us? Are they
like,
confrontational?
They seem like fine people.
Yeah.
No.
I wouldn't
And
mind having them.
that's the common misconception about Juggalos is I feel like they have sometimes off-putting, and I don't mean this in a negative way, demeanor about them, but they're visceral and they're good people, at least the Juggalos that I've met personally.
I think that it comes from the clown makeup, right?
Possibly.
And the clown connection, like that people are scared of clowns sometimes, so.
Possibly. But yeah, they seem like an excellent folk. We welcome you into the handsome fandom.
We could have some here already. Closet.
Whoop, whoop.
Closet Juggalos. Hello, everyone in chat. Radek said earlier when we were talking about algorithms, I clicked on one tweet about the clavicular guy, and now it spams me everything that dude does. Radek, if anybody seems like they would be into following the drama of the clavicular guy, it's you. I don't.
Sorry, can we go back to one thing about Coachella? The one really good performance that everybody should go watch is 9 Inch Noise. So
Okay.
it's Trent Reznor and I think his wife. I don't know.
Yeah.
I listened to a bit of it and it was really friggin' good.
Nice.
Especially if you like the cyberpunk soundtrack. So yeah.
Nice. Johnny Waffles has said, Ben, please don't lie. You are the biggest juggalo I know. Can you be a juggalo without ever having participated in juggalo activities or listening to the music that juggalos are inspired from?
We would have to actually ask a Juggalo this question, and I feel like we're not. We may want to like. What is it? What is that guy's name? Dangerous J. What is his name?
I don't know. Violent J, I think.
Violent J. Sorry for the disrespect, Mr. J. Mr.
Yeah.
Violent. Maybe we can get Mr. Violent on the show.
I think there's a DNA test we have to do. If there's a certain percentage Fago in your blood, then we may be onto something here.
23andMe sort of thing.
I feel like Fago is the type
You're
of drink.
10% Armenian, 5% Scottish, and 60% Juggalo.
3% Fago. Cotton candy Fago.
I feel like of all the beverages I've ever consumed, Fago is the one that's most likely to have leaked into my bloodstream.
It does feel like the closest thing to battery acid that you can ingest.
Yeah.
That's not an energy drink, but
Yeah. Then Grief says rock and rye is all right though. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure. Okay.
the Stone.
Waffle says you can be a juggalo without participating in juggalo related activities. I feel like to Brandon's point, the only person that could actually quantify that or make that decision is a juggalo. So I think that what's happening here is that I'm being named as an honorary juggalo by a real juggalo.
I think you're
Can
on
we confirm that in the
Something to think
Discord?
about.
Can we fact check that?
DNA test.
We'll talk about some video games.
Yeah.
It's kind of liking what we were talking about, but yeah, I guess.
We can do that all day if you want. I don't care. Doesn't matter to me. According to The Verge, Xbox Game Pass has become too expensive, says Microsoft's new gaming chief in leaked memo. Microsoft's, oh my gosh, this article has a subscription. Oh my gosh, I gotta open it up in a different browser.
I really got to stop doing this. I'm sorry.
Do you not get the subscription, or do you not read the article?
I didn't. I sometimes don't get the pop-up, so this time I guess I didn't. But
Fair
I
enough.
do read the article.
I'm gonna read the part of it I can, and I am not subscribing to The Verge. Nothing against them, I just don't want to subscribe to them. Microsoft's new Xbox chief Ashish Sharma has signaled that Xbox Game Pass pricing is about to change. In an internal memo to Xbox employees obtained by The Verge, Sharma admits that Game Pass. So they stole this memo, and then they won't let us read it for free. Sharma admits that Game Pass has become too expensive for players, and that Microsoft needs a better value equation. Game Pass is central to gaming value on Xbox. It's also clear that the current model isn't the final one, says Sharma. Short term, Game Pass has become too expensive for players, so we need a better value equation. Long term, we will evolve Game Pass into a more flexible system, which will take time to test and learn around. Microsoft hiked the price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate to $30 per month last year, a massive 50% hike. The company tried to justify the price hike with a variety of upgrades across all of its Xbox Game Pass tiers, but the cost increase has clearly taken its toll on Game Pass. I can't read the rest of this article because I have not paid for it, but I wonder if they indicate any sort of like decline in usership, because no CEO says, "Hey guys, we're making too much money," right? Like, we got to make this cheaper, even though our numbers are still great. So this must be driven to some effect by decline in subscriptions. Brandon, what do you think?
Sorry, I was looking at Faygo flavors.
What's your favorite Faygo flavor?
The cotton candy, I feel like, also rock and rye is a flavor, and they have zero sugar ones now, which I'm actually kind of interested in.
Grief says they don't even know the flavors of Faygo. No, I don't know that flavor of Faygo. I know the orange and cream soda. Those are my Faygos if I drink a Faygo. All right.
What do I think of this? I think she's right, and that Game Pass is too expensive. But I also think that Xbox has been trying desperately to recoup some of the cost of losing the console war, and from shifting their model to mostly being a Game Pass model. So there must be some analytics in the back end that you have to reach some sort of sweet spot where, one, you're charging as much as you possibly can without a decline in subscriptions. And I feel like they may have tipped the scale, or like you said, they are seeing not as big of a return on their investment, because ultimately the key in this model is to have as many subscribers as possible, really. And so I don't disagree. It is too expensive, but we've had a bunch of price hikes. So for Xbox to come in and then say that they are considering lowering the price when all we've had in our faces for month after month after month in every facet of everything in our life, including video games, is price increases, this would be a bit refreshing. And I feel like it would make headlines and it would draw people in. Whether or not this would be a sustainable practice or whether or not this would be something that they're going to continue to do is yet to be seen, because companies oftentimes will lower things and then just go right back up on it again once they've gotten some of the numbers they need. But generally, I think this is a good thing for Xbox. I would like to see the price be lower. And I think that some of the value, not all of the value of Game Pass, has lessened. And so I feel like a little bit less of a subscription price would accurately reflect the value that you are now receiving from Game Pass. Whereas before, the price was going up, and I feel like the value was going down. And so I would like to see the price more align with the value that you're getting in the product.
Do you think that basically all you can play video games is not worth $30 a month? I'm not saying I think that. I'm just asking.
Do I think that what again? I'm sorry.
So basically, with Game Pass, pretty much as many video games as you can play that are on the service for $30 a month. At even though it's a much higher price than it used to be, that if you came out with the service and said that, it still doesn't feel like that bad of a deal to me.
Yeah, but that's just the thing, though, is saying that you have unlimited video games a month, right? Like, people can only play so much.
Right.
That's the thing. I feel like the value is for people that have the most time, but most people don't have that much time. So, yes, is it a good value? But there has to be a spot where someone that works and has kids, like, can justify that $30 price tag and feel like they are getting their value out of it. Yes, is there value? Could you play, hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of games in that 1 month if you had the time? Absolutely. But
Right.
that's just not feasible for most people.
Right.
Now, you get, teenagers using their mom and dad's cards, paying for it every week, and they're off school or they get every weekend off and they don't have a job. Yes, immense value. But I would say most people, the people that they actually want to get in, that have spending power, don't have as much time. And for me personally, I would say that I would really have to justify, even if the value is there, it's more about how much time and value can you get out of that $30, even if the games are unlimited.
Right. Yeah, for me, it was a matter of I think I unsubscribed 1 month because I wasn't using it, and then everything else just popped up. And now that they've raised the price, not much for the PC version, but they've raised the price a little bit. It's like a harder barrier of entry for me, because even though I know that I really enjoyed Game Pass when I had it, I constantly have enough other stuff to play that now that they raised it a few bucks, well, why go back? Like I'm only playing a couple games a month of any substance anyway. Dave, a few days ago, I just made this connection now, saw an article or a tweet or something about how Xbox is considering not putting Call of Duty, this year's Call of Duty, on Game Pass day one. Did we talk about that last week? I can't remember.
I don't think we did.
Okay. They're considering not putting it back on. That's a rumor at this point, but maybe there won't be day one Call of Duty 2026 on Game Pass. Could that be a way that they get the price back down?
Yeah, that's that's definitely what it sounds like to me. I feel like if they're eyeing making Game Pass cheaper in any way, then that means we're going to start to see the end of day one on Game Pass for at least the big stuff. I think Game Pass, even though it was at one point the best value in gaming, I think as a case study, it's shown that this subscription model is not sustainable, even from, the company in the industry with the most amount of resources to put behind this. So, if you look at the fact that, we've seen this leaked memo that's, they're saying it's too expensive, Game Pass is, they're going all in on next gen hardware. And now there's even rumblings about Microsoft considering going back to a more console exclusive model. This all kind of suggests that we're going to see potentially a scaling back of Game Pass, which is too bad in one respect, but in another respect, I think it puts Microsoft in a better position to compete going forward. So, I don't know. I look at like what Sony has done with PS Plus, and I think it took a while for them to get there, but it's kind of a hybrid model where, you pay your monthly fee and you get access to online and you get a catalog of games. Some of them are old, some of them are AAA, some of them are, in the middle, but the day one stuff is still full price, and went too aggressive in everything we're putting on our console. You can get day one on Xbox, day one on Game Pass.
Yeah.
So I think maybe the case study here is that just doesn't work. Like, you still have to make the full MSRP on your biggest releases that are exclusive to your console. You can't just put everything on a subscription service. I think there's a value perception thing too. I know anecdotally I can say when I played a game on Game Pass, I was less likely to finish it and more likely to cancel my subscription after 1 month than if I had bought it,
No.
even if it wasn't at full price. So I think there was definitely a massive loss in revenue. And it's so difficult to compare these things when you're looking at a subscription service. But at the end of the day, I think we're slowly going to start to see um, Game Pass maybe scale down. I'm not going to say die altogether, but if Microsoft is going all in on next gen hardware, then there has to be some reason for us to buy it. And I think the only way to do that, unless they're going to try something completely revolutionary from a distribution standpoint, is to go back to exclusives. It's probably too late, but I don't know how else they're going to sell this thing. So yeah, it's sad to see kind of Game Pass slowly shrink like this, because I don't know, when it was at its best, it was the get best value in gaming, like it really was. And I think it was probably at its best towards the end of the Xbox One life cycle into the beginning of the Series X, when literally every big game coming to Xbox and exclusive to Xbox was on Game Pass. Like there was no reason to buy those games full price.
Well, that was still the case up until about a year ago, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's I think the other thing that started to really hurt Game Pass is, this is going to be on PlayStation in a couple months. If we have that expectation now, then what's the point,
Yeah.
Especially if that's your preferred place to play, which for a lot of people it is. They either don't have an Xbox or they'd rather play on their PlayStation. So
Right.
I don't know. I think that the floor around Game Pass has been burning for a long, long time. And as I said, I think it's a pretty interesting case study that the rest of the industry has watched intently, and we've seen a lot of Ubisoft did their subscription service, so did EA, and they kind of haven't done great. The only one who hasn't really touched this is Steam. So it's Valve has just kind of stuck with the traditional model, and they're one of the biggest successes in gaming. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but I just don't see how Game Pass fits in with their next gen hardware strategy at all. So
Yeah, and I think the only reason, I mean, Steam hasn't done it, but I think the only reason PlayStation did it was because they felt they had to have some competitor to Xbox's Game Pass. I don't know if they really did or not, but I'm sure it's making them money. So
having only
they have a
just
much different
recently
approach.
signed up for so I had the basic tier for PS Plus for the longest time just for online play. But I only recently got the middle tier that actually gives you access to like the proper catalog. And
Mhm.
it's been great. So I
Yeah.
remember when the PS Plus subscription launched initially, and it was kind of underwhelming, but I think they've really evolved it into a good thing. I wouldn't go as far to say as it's better than Game Pass, but I think it's right there.
Yeah.
So that's definitely hurt Microsoft, I think.
In 20, I don't know, was it 13 when they came out with PlayStation Plus originally for online play? It wasn't long, maybe it was simultaneous, I can't remember, until they added like here's 3 free games every month or whatever. Um with your subscription. And as long as you kept PSN or PS Plus or whatever, you kept those. And man, I remember there being months where I was like, well, I'm not really playing anything that needs it, but I really want that game. And I want to keep subscribed so I get that game this month. And then, I would unsubscribe if there was a month I didn't care about the games or whatever. And if I ever wanted to play them, I'd just hop back in. It's a bit of a dark pattern, if you will, as far as like convincing people to stay subscribed, but I don't really feel like that was the intention necessarily. It was just like, we're not going to provide value to people who aren't part of our subscription, which I get. Any other thoughts? Well, real quick, Grief says, I can't comprehend why League of Legends, Ubisoft, EA, and Fortnite are in Game Pass. I forgot about Fortnite Crew being in Game Pass.
It's just added value.
Yeah. If you are somebody who plays Fortnite a couple hours a week and then plays other stuff a couple hours a week, the Fortnite Crew mixed with whatever other games you can play is a pretty good deal. Because I think it's like $15 on its own, something like that.
Yeah, I was say if you were already subscribed to the Fortnite Crew, then it makes a lot of sense to just do that as well.
I keep thinking about I actually think I have like 6 months worth of codes for Game Pass, and I haven't even used them because I just have so much else to play elsewhere that I haven't had time to go back to Game Pass. But at some point, I'll hop back in for a month, play the stuff I want to play. I still think that's an okay model for me personally as a consumer to use. But yeah, if they don't get a handle on their pricing, I'm sure there's a lot of people like Waffles just said, I just canceled Game Pass on one of my kids' accounts. I can't justify that price. And yeah, it's a lot of money if your kids are just playing, you or your kids are just playing 1 or 2 games a month. But as most gamers in the world do. All right, that horse is beaten to death. I never thought we'd bring up Game Pass pricing again, but here we were. Back to Xbox again, kind of. Push Square says Bethesda now aware of Starfield PS5 crashing issues, aiming for a fix this week. Bethesda has confirmed it is aware of the crashing problems that affect a portion of the new Starfield player base on PS5 and will look to deliver a patch by the end of the week. It said that a small number of cases have been identified, so it's aiming to provide a hotfix this week. That was an update to the article that said players are being met with a successful refund upon getting in touch with PlayStation support, but it's not a guarantee. Some users' requests simply aren't being pushed through for whatever reason, so it's not like when Sony was dishing out Cyberpunk refunds en masse. Still, it goes to show how widespread Starfield's issues actually are. As mentioned in the original story below, this is update number 2, actually. Plenty of players... I just burped while I was talking. That was weird. Plenty of players will have been hit with these crashing problems over the game's opening weekend when they had the chance to put a good chunk of time into the sci-fi adventure. There's also, I think, as of the only numbers we have, I think that Starfield only, I don't know if this is good or bad for what they were expecting, sold 150,000 copies on PS5 in its first, whatever that time frame was, which I think the Outer Worlds beat that, which is interesting because it also didn't sell very well. Dave, what do you think about this Starfield coming to PlayStation? I know a lot of people who didn't have an Xbox were excited to play it there, but it doesn't seem like it's going so great.
No, and it's pretty ironic. It was either last week or the week before when we were talking about how for a Bethesda game, Starfield from a technical perspective had a pretty clean launch on Xbox. So for it to a couple of years later come to PlayStation and have what sound like significant issues in the first weekend it's pretty surprising. So, going back to Game Pass for a second, Starfield launched on Game Pass, so it's difficult for us to kind of gauge like if it was a success from a dollars and cents standpoint when it launched on Xbox. But from a critical standpoint, it certainly seemed like it underperformed. So contrary to some of the other Microsoft first-party games that have recently come to PlayStation, where I felt like they just kind of hit launch. Like I didn't see a whole lot of promotion behind Sea of Thieves or Grounded or even Forza, Indiana Jones. Like it seemed like they just kind of put them out there, and they did decently well. I think with Starfield, it seemed like Microsoft and Bethesda needed a big win for this release on PlayStation. Anecdotally, I can say I feel like I saw a little bit more promotion-wise, and the fact that they launched it on PlayStation with a new update, new DLC, basically. I don't know if it was paid DLC or not, but that shows. It was.
I think a lot of people had like the season pass or whatever, but yeah.
That shows that, from my perspective, that Microsoft and Bethesda needed Starfield to do well on PlayStation. And something like this is a killer. Like as soon as people catch wind that the game has not launched in a good state, especially with Bethesda's track record, they do one of two things. They put it on their wish list and they wait for it to go on sale, or they forget about it altogether. And both of those things are incredibly damaging to your sort of launch revenue potential. So this is not good news for Bethesda and Microsoft. And 150,000, if that number is accurate, is painfully low for a game of this stature. And for Outer Worlds 2 to beat you, great game, but Starfield should be blowing Outer Worlds 2 out of the water with an install base like PlayStation has. So this is scary stuff for Microsoft. It really is, because this should have been a home run. It should have been an easy win, like all of the other AAA releases that Microsoft has brought over to PlayStation. But I don't know how Bethesda gets back from this one, because it's tough to do that.
Yeah, to your point, I think when they launched Sea of Thieves, which is a much older and less respected game than anything from Bethesda, which that's not a slight on that game. I have spent 5,000 hours with that game, but it sold way more than that in its first month or so, like magnitudes more. So, Brandon, are you ever going to get to Starfield?
No. No, yeah, absolutely not. I'm glad they did some right by making 60 frames a second accessible on this game, period. And I think that's a good thing overall for the people jumping into it as a new player. But I tend to agree with Dave. I think that they had some catching up to do financially for this game. Um, and my faith in Bethesda is non-existent really at this point. I think they are a shell of what they used to be, and I'm not surprised that they released something that they were hinging on being successful in a broken state. This is classic Bethesda. So even if it is a small portion of their audience, which I would truly wonder if that how accurate that actually is, or if it's how they're positioning it. I do agree. I think it's a bad look, and I think you really cannot fix a dull and uninteresting game that's uninspiring. So, this game by no means has nothing to give to people. I just think that one of the biggest things they can do to help themselves was make sure that it worked well. And not doing that is kind of the nail in the coffin. So,
Yeah. All right. Boys, this comes from Anime News Network. Sony Pictures produces animated film of Bloodborne game. Sony Pictures announced at CinemaCon on Monday that it is producing an animated R-rated film adaptation of From Software's Bloodborne game. PlayStation Productions Lyrical Animation and YouTuber Jacksepticeye are producing the film, with Sony Pictures and Lyrical Animation parent company Lyrical Media co-financing the film. The dark gothic fantasy game is set in a town called Yarnum, whose population has transformed into deadly beasts after they imbibe the supposedly miraculous panacea. We all know all that stuff. Not a lot of other information here other than Crunchyroll will exclusively stream the anime in 2026 worldwide, excluding Japan, China, Korea, Russia, and Belarus. The game launched for PS4, Xbox One, and PC via Steam in March 2019 and sold more than 2 million copies in less than 10 days. Brandon, you're a Bloodborne guy. I know Dave is too, but he's off camera, so it doesn't exist to me. How do you feel about this, an animated Bloodborne movie?
yeah,
This is not the news I was hoping for.
This is cool, I guess, and to have any sort of new Bloodborne anything, I guess, is a step in the right direction. I think that the most recent success of a YouTuber having a large part or an entire part in a horror film or any sort of film at all with Iron Lung could have possibly helped to get this moving forward. Iron Lung did incredibly well, both critically and box office wise.
I wonder if it did have anything to do with it, because this says 2026. I imagine it took longer than that to get this going, but you're probably right that that's probably why somebody else picked up on it.
Yeah, and I honestly, even if that wasn't the inception of this, I think it certainly did help it along in a lot of ways. So, yeah, I think this is good, and I hope that it continues to breathe interest into the Bloodborne series. Sony has to know that it's literally a meme at this point, that they haven't done anything with it.
Yeah.
And they have to know the demand is there, but hopefully this will help continue to push that series into the mainstream more. Maybe this will gather even more interest from people that weren't already interested in the game to begin with, and will continue to show Sony that there is interest in this game having a sequel, or at the very least being able to be played in a new hardware sense. So yeah, I don't know. I think this is good, and I'm all about it. Having someone help. What did you say, he's producing it? Jacksepticeye is producing it? Is that what you said?
It says he's involved somehow, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's cool. I'm willing to give anyone a chance. And I've been so disappointed so many times from video game movies that we'll see. We'll see. I think it could be really actually likes the game. I think I saw someone say that Jacksepticeye has like a Bloodborne tattoo or something like that. So someone having a hand in it that is very deeply involved and has a love for the game, I think is paramount to something like this. And when video game movies come out and there aren't people heavily involved that are involved with the source material, it shows.
Yeah.
So whether that be in a TV format or a movie. So I'm glad it's a movie and not a TV show. But yeah, this is cool. This is cool. I'm about it. I want more Bloodborne stuff. So if this is the closest we're gonna get for now, I'll take it.
Um, I read something here that I said wait. It said something about being released on Steam. Oh, they're talking about Sekiro. Never mind. Dave, I couldn't help but notice the one name missing from this list of people who were involved is From Software. How do you feel about a Bloodborne movie without From Software?
Yeah, it's it feels like a passion project from what do they call it when like a fan made kind of thing, but it's being hyped up by Sony, so it's a little bit more. So if Sony's name wasn't in there, then it would just kind of read as like a fan made thing by.
Well, I think Sony owns the IP.
Yeah,
technically, yeah.
but you're
that's
right.
why
Like,
From's not involved, is because it's not theirs.
but
I know,
I
but
don't
that
know.
sucks, is what I'm saying.
From a creative standpoint, you would think that they would want some involvement from of all studios. Yeah, Sony owns the IP, but when you're dealing with something as distinct as something made by From Software, you'd kind of expect. So I hadn't really thought of that, but it's a bit of a red flag. I mean, otherwise I agree with everything Brandon said. It's not the Bloodborne news we were hoping for, but it's really cool to see this. First thing that came to mind was Cyberpunk Edge Runners. That was such a success when it came out, and I know this is going to be a little bit different, but it's cool to see them use IP that we know and love and tell new and interesting stories. And there's no better place you could do that than in Yarnum. So it's going to be interesting to see how this turns out.
Yeah. I misread something earlier. I misread this entire paragraph. They said From Software's Sekiro Shadows Die Twice game is inspiring anime titled Sekiro No Defeat, which is what Crunchyroll will exclusively stream. I would imagine Bloodborne the movie is getting a theatrical release at the very least.
Or direct to stream, like something Sony related.
I'm sure it'll be on a Sony platform one way or another. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why everybody's just ripping by my house as loud as possible right now, but that's just what happens.
They want to be on the stream.
Yeah, I guess so. They're like, hey,
Sniping with V8
I'm on TV. Yeah. I don't know how they knew where the stream was, but according to IGN, Crimson Desert has now sold 5 million copies, marking a significant milestone less than a month after its release date. Pearl Abyss's single-player open-world action-adventure launched on March 19th and sold 2 million copies in a day. I assume that included pre-orders. It then hit 3 million sales in 5 days, and now, just over a week later, it reached 4 million. Now it's added another million on top with no sign of slowing down. Quote, thank you to every Greymane who has joined us on this journey, experienced the world of Pywell, and supported the game, Pearl Abyss said. Reaching this milestone would not have been possible without your support, and we are truly grateful. Boys, I started playing Crimson Desert and probably got like 10 hours into it, and I just stopped. I don't know. It's not that I didn't like it. I just didn't want to play it anymore. I may go back to it at some point. We'll see. They were just patching it so frequently that I felt like I was missing out on stuff, which I'm not complaining about patching frequently. That's great. But anyway, I kind of burned myself out doing a million bounties and not actually progressing anywhere else in the game. Dave, 5 million copies. No small feat.
That's a lot. It's another win for new IP too, which has traditionally been kind of a risk that I think a lot of publishers and developers haven't been willing to take. But if we look at the last 12 months or so, Expedition 33, Arc Raiders, Stellar Blade, there's a lot of other ones I can name, but there's a lot of brand new games that are coming out with unfamiliar franchises or unestablished franchises, new IP that are doing really, really well. So it's always nice to see another one, and I think putting Crimson Desert alongside those titles I just mentioned is they're somewhat different because Crimson Desert has a much more established studio and a much bigger budget, but it's still new IP. It's still unfamiliar to people, And I think that's a win. Anytime we see new IP come, we have to praise it and say, you know, even if you're not familiar with something, give it a shot. And on the flip side, we've seen a lot of like licensed failures of late, and we're about to talk about one, but Star Wars Outlaws, Multiverses, Avatar, Suicide Squad, like the days of licensed IP being a sure bet are they seem to be gone. And we're seeing new IP really come and people be willing to give it a shot even though it's unfamiliar. So good for Pearl Abyss, good for gamers for kind of investing in things that are new and unfamiliar to them. The other what's the other one? The monkey game.
Wukong.
Wukong, hugely successful. So yeah, this is good. Gamers are doing what they should and buying new IP and not just investing in games as a service and franchises. So good for y'all.
Brandon.
Yeah, I think, to kind of bounce off what Dave's saying, I think moreover, gamers are choosing new IP, but gamers are also realizing that established IP has very quickly, in most cases, become something that is driven by profit and not by any sort of passion. I think that that's something that these new IPs share and these new successful IPs, because there's new IPs that come out every day and are not successful. When IPs come out, new or old, consumers will be able to tell whether they read about it beforehand or they play it. There's something about the games that are the most successful most of the time where you could see passion in the project. And I think a lot of these established IPs are lacking in this passion and understanding of what made these games popular in the first place. And they become a commodity. They become a way to push agendas and finances and lose the love for what the intellectual property is to begin with. So you take Baldur's Gate, which is not a new IP. You take Crimson Desert. These games are successful for a reason, and it's because there's passion behind them. And consumers are picking new IPs and are picking IPs that aren't driven by pay to subscribe models or live service models. But it also is a testament, and I don't want to glaze over this, to the passion that a lot of these successful projects have that a lot of these established IPs lose as time goes on. Take Starfield, for instance. New IP, complete shell of what it was. And that's what a lot of these companies are really just missing, is the passion for the projects that they had before. Bethesda is not what it used to be. Call of Duty is not what it used to be. So many things that we loved aren't what they used to be because they lose sight and focus too heavily on not pushing the medium and the art forward. And some of these new studios, these no-name quote-unquote studios, I'm not saying that in a derogatory way, have the passion, and that shines through in the final product. And I think that's a testament to these successful games is Wukong, Crimson Desert, Helldivers, they have a passion for their games, and that shows in the final product.
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing more to be said on my part. I know this is going to come as very disappointing news to both of you. Star Trek Resurgence won't live long and prosper. It's being delisted. This is according to GameSpot. It says delisted is the final frontier, unfortunately, for Star Trek Resurgence. The adventure title from former Telltale Games is no longer available to purchase digitally on Steam or Xbox, though it is still up on Epic Games, Nintendo eShop, and PlayStation Store at time of publication. On Steam, a new message appeared from publisher Brunner House and developer Dramatic Labs, stating that Star Trek Resurgence would no longer be offered for sale. Licensing rights were cited as the reason behind delisting the narrative-focused game. However, anyone who purchased the title can still access it through their store libraries, according to the Post. Star Trek Resurgence isn't even 3 years old, released originally in May 23 of 2023 on the Epic Games Store. The game arrived exactly a year later on Steam, followed by PlayStation in late 2024, and hit Nintendo Switch in August of 25. Set after the beloved Star Trek The Next Generation TV series, you play as Commander Jara Rydek and Engineer Carter Diaz in Star Trek Resurgence. There's another avenue to get your hands on the game, even after being delisted digitally. Star Trek Resurgence did see a physical release on PlayStation and Xbox, so finding the game secondhand is a possible option. Brandon, we see a lot of these things happening lately. Star Trek Resurgence Seems like most games have built in to have licensing rights for longer than 3 years, but maybe this was like we'll do it for 3 years and then pay again if we feel like it's worth it. It was a cheaper deal for them. I don't know. I'm totally
Yeah.
speculating here. But either way, it kind of sucks just that a game from such a huge IP is disappearing, even if it maybe didn't do that well.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't surprising in the landscape we now live in. What I mostly feel bad about, and this might be like a sweeping assumption from me, but this is a very old head IP. And the people that, and once again, this is a very big, broad assumption from me. I have a feeling that a lot of the people that bought into this game are old heads, right? That are playing this game are old heads. And that sect of gamer tends to stick with things for a long time. So I mostly feel bad for them. The people that are interested in this game. And even if they're not, even if they're not old, even if they're brand new to the Star Trek series. Yeah, this unfortunately is the price you pay in today's video game economy. Don't expect anything you ever play to stick around for long. Even single player things, they can easily be delisted and taken from you at any moment. So yeah, it is sad. I am a fan of the Star Trek series. In passing, I've watched some of the movies and enjoyed them quite a bit, but not surprising, really. Another sad case of something going away too soon. But that's the way things are. So
Yeah, this is a game that, so I guess I am probably considered an old head, but I have seen, I'd say 95% of everything Star Trek ever made up through like 2010. And even I didn't even know this game existed. Because
that's saying a lot.
yeah, I know. So that's not great. I mean, the game on Steam at least has 2,300 reviews positive. So like that's a decent sales, but I imagine Star Trek IP is pretty expensive to relicense. Dave, what do you think?
Does anyone else think something's real fucky about this? So there was a statement in another article where the developer said their license to distribute the game had expired. And I've never heard of a distribution agreement for licensed IP to be that short. So something just seems off about this. And I don't know why you would spend all that time and effort developing a game that you could only sell for, I think you said 3 years, but this game went on sale late 2024. So it's hasn't been 3 years yet. So something seems really weird about this. I was wondering if the Paramount purchase of Warner Bros. Had anything to do with this, but I wasn't sure how I would make a connection there. But this is really odd. Even if the game wasn't received critically well or didn't have a lot of promotional budget behind it, as you said, Ben, you're a Star Trek fan and you hadn't heard about this game, but to make a game that only has a 2 year shelf life, like something's wrong. And I don't know. Have you guys heard of that before? Like we've heard of licensed music having to be patched out of certain games after a couple of years, but a game having to be delisted after 2 years is something's stinks here. So I don't
If
know.
I had to guess, and I'm making this up entirely in my own head, but with a little bit of knowledge of how big licensing stuff works, they said, hey, we want to license the Star Trek IP. And whoever owns the Star Trek IP said, sure. I'm making up numbers, $1 million for a year, $5 million for 3 years. And if you want it in perpetuity, it's $30 million. But if you license it for 3 years, we'll come back to you. You can come back to us and license it again for another 3 years if you feel like it's worth it. Again, I have no idea if that's accurate. I know that is the way some other licensing deals work. I would imagine that something like this is probably not cheap to license. So there's probably some sort of, timed deal.
Right.
I do agree with you, Dave, that it kind of stinks a little bit. Like it smells like something funny is going on. But
Solid
at the
amount of
same time, I
stinks.
don't think this is like that abnormal to only license something
It
for a
just
short
seems
time if it's a mega big IP.
Yeah,
it's
and
just a huge risk. And
Yeah.
this is the
Yeah.
company that spun off from Telltale.
Yeah.
So for them to stick their talons into as Brandon, and I agree with Brandon's assessment, it's kind of an old hat IP, and only allow themselves to put something on sale for up to 3 years is, it's just, why would you take that risk?
well,
You know?
here's the thing though. and something that we've not acknowledged that could be the case is the whole pump and dump, and that's not exactly a one-to-one comparison. You develop a game very cheaply, right? And then you push it out to the public for a very short amount of time in the hopes that it makes the money you need it to. And if it continues, great. But if it doesn't, you cut your losses. Now, I know how much we talked last week about how we're completely annoyed with Steam charts. But what I will tell you is an interesting thing with this IP specifically is that at launch, it had the highest player count it ever had, and that was 660 players on Steam. So
It's a single player choose your adventure game, though. It's not like it's going to have a ton of concurrence.
Well,
a better indicator of sales is you said 2,300 reviews. So
Yeah.
that it sold decently well based on that, right?
Yeah, I mean, unless they really pushed people to it, you could expect like a couple reviews per 100 sales.
Right.
So with that in mind, 2,300
couple
times
100,000, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's just on Steam. They made money on this game, almost guaranteed. I don't know what the IP cost, but the actual development of the game, guaranteed they showed a profit. I shouldn't say guaranteed. Sometimes studios get carried away. You never know what they're spending. But all signs point to them showing a profit on the making of the game itself. The IP, I'm sure, was the most expensive part and probably the thing that was the least in their control.
I don't know. Yeah, this is interesting. I mean, sad to see, but it kind of is what it is, sort of thing in today's environment. Not surprising. Also a little strange to be licensed for this short of amount of time. I wouldn't write off the fact that they were trying to make as much money as they could in a short amount of time, and they weren't really concerned with how long the tail on this game would be, especially if it's a single player game. Sell what you need to sell, and then it's a scummy practice, but the reality is they've made the money.
Is Dramatic Labs working on anything new? Do we know? I'm trying to find out here. Dramatic Labs. Their website has 2 dogs on it and a sentence, and that's it. Yep, no idea. No idea if they're working on anything else. This is actually really the weirder part to me is that the studio doesn't have anything on their website, like even a thing saying we made this one game.
Yeah, something about it stinks.
Also, their Twitter account no longer exists.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the cause. Maybe the studio went under and there's definitely isn't money to renew it or to maintain it or whatever. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about what we've been playing. Dave, I'm most interested to hear, not that I don't care about what you're playing, Brandon, but I'm most interested to hear about Dave's game.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I've been in kind of a gaming rut, really, and I had a hard time finding something new to play, so I just went back to an old classic, which is Fallout 3. I started this game a couple months ago when I got it for my 360, and I think it's going to be my comfort game going forward, where every once in a while on a weekend I'll jump in and just wander around the wasteland and reminisce about times when games weren't about stamina gauges and battle passes and player counts and hours played and stuff like that. So what I really like about Fallout is the way it blurs the line between side missions and critical path. Like the amount of times I had no idea if I was doing a main story mission or just doing something off on the side because I was just kind of wandering, is kind of a testament to its emergence, or a testament to its immersion. So yeah, I love Three Dog. I wish Galaxy Radio had more songs, but the ones that are there are bangers. And yeah, there's not really much more to say about Fallout 3, but it's comfort food at this point. So yeah, I did end up picking up one new game just today, and I played a little bit. It's I think it's an indie game. It's called Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know if you guys
Oh,
have heard of it.
interesting.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Also, real quick, I just have to go back. There were 2 comments in chat that I just saw. Deadpool game release by Activision was a 2-year deal. Jurassic Park collection was delisted after 3 years or 2.5 years. I don't
So
know.
there's precedence there.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, there's a cherry picked example for everything, but it's probably accurate as far as
Yeah.
licensing terms.
Maybe it's more common than I thought, but I
Yeah.
feel like I hadn't heard of it. But yeah. So Fallout.
sorry.
I'll talk more about Red Dead Redemption next week. But yeah, I had played this several years ago for a handful of hours, and I borrowed it from a friend, so I had to give it back, and I didn't really go back to it. And it was one of the games on my list this year for my AAA backlog that I wanted to get to. So I finally bought Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm experiencing it mostly for the first time. So I'll
Nice.
chat more about that next
How
week.
how far in are you? Have you made it past the opening cutscene? It's like an hour.
The opening cutscene?
When you're traveling up the mountain through the snow?
Yeah, so I just got to camp.
Okay.
And again, when I played it initially, I got further than that. The last mission I remember doing is the drunk mission, the party mission.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. In Valentine, yeah.
Yeah. So I haven't put many hours into it, but yeah. I think okay. I'm going to talk more about it next week, but I think my brain going into it is more ready because I'm ready for the slow burn start, and I know that this game is not meant to be like any other open world game or even like Grand Theft Auto, which is obviously also from Rockstar. I'm going into it like a cigar in a single malt, like you really gotta enjoy it and go slow and don't worry about the critical path and look at the scenery and that kind of stuff. So I think I'm gonna kind of be better equipped to engage with Red Dead Redemption 2, because I know people do struggle with its pacing. So yeah, I really want to enjoy this game because I know it's kind of a generational game, and yeah, I'll talk more about it next week. So
It's hard for me to find another game that I love more. Period. If you asked me with a gun to my head to come up with an answer for my favorite game of all time, 9.5 times out of 10, this would be the one I'd say, with very little equivocation. So at some point, I've only ever played it the one time. At some point, I'll go back to it. But I'm just not ready yet. I'm just not ready. Brandon, I'm so happy you finally played it last year.
Yeah, me too. It was
Or 2 years ago, I guess.
Yeah, it was. Honestly, I feel like it changes a little bit about you as someone who plays games. And even as a person, obviously you're more keen to play it if you're experienced with games, period. But I feel like it's such a universally beloved piece of media that I wish more people got to experience it that didn't play games.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be really hard to turn those into anything but games because so much of the experience is living the characters' lives.
Exactly.
But I would love to see somebody really talented try.
Yeah.
I would love for my wife, who does not really care about video games, like she doesn't have a problem with them, but she doesn't really care about them. And it also isn't the type of person who's going to sit there and watch me play a game for 100 hours. I would love for her to at least get to experience a little bit of that story, but I still don't feel like you can ever tell that story in a different medium and have it be as impactful.
I agree.
As is the case with many games, but there are some great video game movies. So
yeah.
Brandon, what have you been playing?
I started Final Fantasy VII. Very, 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 very early on. I played a decent amount of this, or what I deemed to be a decent amount of it, a while back. And so I am nowhere near getting back to where I was to begin with. So I don't really have anything new to report. And everybody knows what this game is. It looks really good on PC. It runs really good on PC. And I've enjoyed that quite a bit. I had the option to do the normal start or the normal head start. And I feel like I probably should have done the head start because it over levels you at the beginning and gives you a bunch of good gear, but I didn't. I feel like even if that would have been the easier of the two options, I feel like in order to properly experience these games, I have to fully understand what I'm doing and how to min-max things. I'll have to look it up. I don't know if there's a way you can soft lock yourself with like consumables or anything like that. If there is, maybe I'll more intentionally try to look up some suggestions. But actually figuring a game out is so much more rewarding. Hopefully, it isn't one of the ones that kind of burns me out on the way. We'll see. But it's good. It's good. Yeah, and it looks really good on PC. Really, really good. I thought it looked fine on base PS5, but looks even better on PC. So, still playing more. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, my advice to you, and I know that you really enjoy that aspect of games, figuring them out, min-maxing. I don't feel like these remakes are it's as important to do that as it could have been with the originals.
Okay, good. Okay.
I think that you will probably find a lot of enjoyment from doing that, but you also risk, because they're such long games, burning yourself out on them.
Right.
I do feel like, and maybe it was just because I was a few years younger the last time I played through one, or I replayed through. I feel like it was more important to do that on the originals than it is on these new ones. They're much more forgiving for players who are more casual.
Good.
Which you aren't, so you'll still get some benefit, but I wouldn't stress yourself out about it. I wouldn't let that prevent you from progressing or from enjoying yourself.
Yeah, and I don't plan to go crazy. Like I want to figure out the meat and potatoes of this, and I know it's like a lot different than the original, but I also don't want to accidentally soft lock myself. I guess that's what I'm worried about is soft locking. You know?
Yeah, I don't know that you can, honestly. Okay. I think it's dummy proof, but play it the way you want and enjoy it, but don't stress out about it either.
Okay. Yeah, so it's really good on PC. Marathon, continuing to be infatuated with this game. I love this game so much. So much. Mid-season update came out. A lot of really good changes. UI changes, gun changes, map changes, bug fixes, the normal things. But they also added a couple more tiers to the battle pass as well. So that's actually pretty big as well, continuing to add value. So did try the hardest thing you can try in Marathon, which is called the Cryo Archive. It is very much more akin to a Destiny type raid, with a lot more intricate mechanics once you get into the vaults that are in here. Unarguably the best loot in the game. There is a much steeper barrier for entry. You are actually gated out of these maps based on loot value that you currently hold. But super duper fun. I'm really interested to continue to check out Cryo Archive. It really is the lose everything factory, but I'm enjoying it quite a bit. So clearing up the vault, one Cryo Archive run at a time. But yeah, really great. And the mid-season update's fantastic. So I really hope this game sticks around. I'm enjoying it thoroughly. Even playing solo has been quite a bit of fun.
How can you play a game with such a low player count, though? I mean,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did just spend the $10 on the battle pass because I do want to support them. I really hope this doesn't go anywhere. And I legitimately, with what we talked about earlier and shit getting shut down and how much money I know they spent on this game, there is a very lingering sadness in my heart that I cannot let go that this game will be shut down much quicker than I would want it to be, unless they make great changes, and even I don't know that will be enough.
I don't think there's anything to worry about anytime soon. I mean, unless they do. I mean, Sony's been known to do some crazy stuff, but one of their flagship studios with undoubtedly a lot of money put into it. I'm memeing, and you knew that about the player count. 20,000 plus on Steam, plus more than that likely on consoles.
No,
it's fine.
Steam is 70%. They've said estimated 70% is Steam. So it's
okay. So call it 50,000 concurrents then, including Xbox and PlayStation total. Oh no, I guess that wouldn't be right. Call
a
it 30,000.
$250 million game.
Yeah, it's not great. It's not good. Don't get me wrong, but it's enough to support. Like they've already spent the money.
Right.
It's enough to support at least some like year of development plus.
Right. And I don't want to
Keeping the
play into the
servers up.
discourse.
No.
I love this game and I want it to stick around with all the discourse and all of this heated debate about player counts. We don't know how much they're making. We don't work at Bungie. We don't know Sony.
Right.
And I want it to stay open. But with how cutthroat a lot of these things have been and how things that people love just vanish in thin air overnight, that's what concerns me. Not because the game isn't wonderful, not because of the player count, but because of how things have been in the industry. So that's what I worry about.
Brandon, to get into a little bit of that discourse, not about player counts, but why do you think it's had a failure to really blow up?
I think it's not very accessible.
Okay, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's one of the core tenets, and I recently watched like a mini doc on this of the troubled development of this game, and it was a very troubled development, honestly, more than I even realized.
Yeah.
Studio heads being let go because of misconduct, the Valorant guy coming in and changing it to a hero shooter, all kinds of stuff. And you can look it up. I'm not going to bore you guys with that, but it is kind of interesting. And yeah, I think it's just a lack of accessibility. The original guy, who was one of the original Destiny guys, who had the misconduct stuff, wanted it to be more like an MMO. You kind of go into an instance world, and then you could fight players, and you could create your own characters. And one of the pillars was to make it accessible for him. And I don't want to say they kind of step back on that, but I think by nature, these games as a genre tend to be on the more difficult side and less accessible. I think that's why it was such a wonder that Arc Raiders did what it did. Even with the mid-season update that they just pushed out, they have taken steps towards making this game more accessible. They have. In UI, in how things visually look in the game, because there's a lot going on at once, in how forgiving things could be. They have things like the Rook class, where there's no risk involved. You still have your free kits. They just added to the game for solo players depleted self-revive charges that were never an option before, so you could find those in the world. You can't take them with you when you die, but if you find them in the world, you have an option to res yourself. They just added an option and more incentive to help people with quests in your party. If you're filling, you now get a reward for that. They offered the ability for you to res people that aren't in your party. Like there's a new res kit where you can res people either in solos that you shot down. I actually did that today. A dude was shooting me. I had a free kit. I fucking murdered him. He had a sniper rifle, clearly better shit than I had, and he had a blue shield. I had a white shield. Murdered him, and I said, dude, listen, I just found one of these things, and I hadn't used it, so I wanted to use it. I'm like, I just want to leave. I just did my quest. Stop moving, wriggling away from me, because he's down. I'm like, stop wriggling away from me. I'm going to res you, and I'm going to walk away. You can come with me in exfil if you want. I'm leaving. And so I resed him, and he exfilled with me. So he drew me a couple things, to say thanks. But nothing great, just some health that I can take into another match. But yeah, so long story short, they have added a lot of stuff to help it be more accessible. How they will continue to draw players in, I don't know. I don't know, if maybe having some free weekends will help. I think they should start to do that. Whether or not later in life this game will go free to play, honestly, I'm not sure. But we'll see. So,
Yeah.
Last but certainly not least, I played a game called Tainted Grail: Fall of Avalon. This is a game I talked about last week or the week before that. Bless you, Dave. I don't know that I like this game. It feels a lot like Skyrim and like Oblivion with a fresher coat of paint. It's got some interesting ideas, and it's very open and freeform. It feels very, very old. And I say that in both an endearing way and I wish it was a little bit nicer way. I don't know. I played for maybe about an hour. got out of what would be, you leaving the cave for the first time in Skyrim. I just got to that part and I'm like, man, I just don't know. I don't know that I'm interested in it. I thought I'd be interested in going back and playing something like this at this time, but I think I just have too many other things that are on my plate right now. Not to say that it's a testament towards this game. I think it's just I thought I would be more into this kind of experience than I was. If you are looking for something that does feel old in that way, and once again, I'm saying that in an endearing way, that feels like an RPG, a first person or a third person RPG, similar to Oblivion or to Skyrim, check this out. Yeah, there's a lot to like about it, and it's pretty interesting. But I just don't think it's something I'm willing to sink time into right now.
Yeah, our buddy Justin played the heck out of this game and loved it, but he also said, "I don't recommend this game to anybody," kind of thing. So interesting. For me, I played this week a game called Ranger's Path National Park Simulator. I didn't really have any interest in this game necessarily, but I do love simulators, as you guys know. But I was like getting spammed, and I mean that in an affectionate way, with "please play the game" messages. So I finally, they offered me a code. I grabbed it, and I played it for a couple hours, and it is exactly what it says it is. It is a national park simulator, and you're a ranger in a national park, and you go around and you fix up paths that have, trails that have been destroyed, and you take pictures of, wildlife and plants and stuff to catalog what you have there, and clean up trash from campsites, and you even go and like ask people for their permits to be allowed to walk in a park. I don't know if that's a thing or not, by the way, but it is in this game. And you can, like, if you ask for their permit and they don't have it, or they have their own one, or it's expired, and you have to like read all that stuff yourself, which is fine.
You kill them.
You kill them. Yeah. No, you don't kill them. You can give them fines or eject them from the park or whatever, stuff like that. I think that this is probably a very solid game. If you're really into like true life simulators. Again, I don't know how accurate the needing a permit to walk in a park is, but there's a lot of stuff in it that's like, yeah, this is what a park ranger would do. But as I was playing it for a couple hours, I was like, wow, I don't really have a desire to be a power wash guy, but it's very satisfying. And I find Power Wash Simulator a lot of fun. I don't really have any desire to own a supermarket, but you know what? The game Supermarket Simulator, lots of fun. Maybe someday I'll own a card shop. That sounds like a fun retirement job. And that game is a lot of fun to me. I have no interest at all in any way, shape, or form in being a park ranger. And honestly, not a whole lot of interest in being outside for any length of time for that matter. I love going out to campfires, and that's about it. So for me, this game just didn't hit because it's totally not my thing. But I think it's probably a really well-made game. I didn't love some of the like policing you had to do in the game, but the mechanics themselves are pretty satisfying, but I just didn't really find the overall loop that satisfying. And in fairness, I only gave it a couple hours. Maybe it gets better. Maybe I would sink deeper into it and enjoy it more. But I think just for now, it's not for me. Again, that's not to say it's a bad game. It just, I think it's for a very specific audience. If you're into either super deep into like detailed simulators, go play it. If you're really interested in nature and being a park ranger and all that kind of stuff, check it out. For me, it just didn't hit the right notes, and that's okay. The other game I've been playing is Windrose. Windrose came out yesterday. I stayed up till 5 a.m. playing it, and I have about 6 hours in the game so far. Dave is probably going to lash out at me at some point during this conversation.
Nobody cares about this fucking game. Just speed it up. Let's go.
So Windrose, for those of you who didn't know, over the last year was it was originally known by a different name that I can't remember now, but I discovered it then and kind of followed it through its development. played it in the demo a few times, helped even contributed some information like in their bug reports and stuff. Windrose is a pirate simulator, but it's a survival crafting pirate simulator that also includes naval combat and lots of exploration. You get shipwrecked, land on, or you get settled on an island, and you go around and you do all the survival crafting things that you do in every survival crafting game. You craft a hatchet, and you go and chop down trees, and then you fight with the wildlife, and you go and get ore, and then you craft things out of them, and you keep exploring, and finally you build up to get all your guys back from your ship. They're all been stranded elsewhere. You get your ship up and running, and then you go out, and that's as far as I've gotten so far.
Just describe Skull and Bones, Ben.
Except it's good. That is the one thing that's different about it.
It's not well optimized because it can't run on my 1060.
It's not Ubi shit. It's not Ubi shit.
I was telling Dave earlier today, before I watched the launch trailer yesterday, I had no idea there was naval combat in this game, because when I played the demo, I didn't get that far. I was just like, oh, I really like this. I'm good till it comes out.
Just to be clear, I'm super butthurt because I can't play the game because it won't run on my computer. I really want to play this game. So.
But Dave, I came up with a solution for you. You have to try it.
You did, yeah. You
did. I think it's fantastic so far. It's got a lot of quality of life features that I can't even put all of them into words. But like when you fast travel, you can just fast travel with whatever you have on you. I haven't found anything yet that you can't. You can call your boat to wherever you are. There's a little bit of mystical stuff there. I'm not sure if that's built into the game or not, but there's like draugrs or something that you can kill around the island. There's lots of I will say this: the PvE is like really brutal, and there's a bit of a dodge parry mechanic to the game as well that is not very forgiving. And so for all of the quality of life stuff that's there, it's not easy. It's not an easy game. It's just very forgiving in a lot of other areas that many survival crafting games are not. And they've done a lot of great work on it. Now, it is in early access. I have no idea what they're planning on adding to it because it feels very complete so far. So I'm excited to see what that is as it goes through. But I can guarantee this is a game I'll be sinking quite a few hours into over the coming weeks and months probably, because it just it's like the last few weeks I've been like struggling to find a game I really want to sink into, like a single player game. And this can be played multiplayer as well. You can even get persistent servers. You have to pay for them or spin them up yourself. But so that's a really cool element to it as well. But I'm excited to dig in and actually get past like the very initial onboarding and start going and fighting Blackbeard and finding other cool stuff in Tortuga or wherever. Some of the stuff that was in the launch trailer, I had aside from the naval combat, I had no idea was in the game, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So I'm sure I'll have more to talk about later. I'm excited to play it tonight once I finish up some other stuff. So happy that it's out. Sad that Dave can't play it natively on his 1060, but Dave, I will say I was having trouble running it, but part of that is because I now have a 49-inch widescreen. And I was trying to run it in 1440 and with three other monitors on my computer. It was not running terribly well. I ended up just changing a couple of the settings and now it's runs smooth. So
you poor thing, you might have to play it with only 3 fucking monitors.
Yeah, Dave, if you're having trouble with your 1060, just try hooking up 3 extra monitors and see if it works better or not. For anybody who's curious, or anybody out there who wants to play like PC games, but you don't have a PC, or you don't have a PC that's like terribly modern, the suggestion I gave to Dave, and he hasn't tested it, I just gave it to him earlier today, he hasn't tested it out yet, is GeForce Now. Everything I hear about GeForce Now from people who are trying it out talk about how great it is now. And they have a free version. I think you can do as many as you want, but you can only do like an hour at a time. You can do as many segments of that as you want, though. So maybe something worth checking out on the free basis and seeing if there's some PC games you can play. A lot of these games that I love are like only PC or PC first. These simulator games, especially survival crafting type stuff. So if you're itching to try something like that and don't have another way to do it, maybe GeForce Now will work for you, or a similar service. I don't really know what's out there. And that's all I have to say about that.
That's it.
Anything else, boys? Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. We appreciate it. Don't forget to join us on Patreon and Discord, and we'd love to have you. Otherwise, we'll see you later.
Bye.
See ya.